Copyright disclaimer. Under Title 17 U.S.C. Section 107, allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing nonprofit, educational, or personal use, tips a balance in favor of fair use. Okay, this is from, I can't read it, something, Rely Sign or something like that, blog post. The ex-Scientologist exposing the lies, abuses, and crimes of the Church of Scientology, dated March 8, 2013. Sexual abuse is permitted in Scientology. There have been more than dozens of cases of sexual abuse and sexual abuse of children in Scientology that were never reported to officials, or if they were reported, not until years later. The reason is, in order to keep the dark side of Scientology out of the public eye, Scientologists may not take their legal differences or even criminal complaints outside of the church, but must handle them internally through mediation. Also, there is this. Scientology ethics always assumes that if something bad happens to you, that you are responsible for pulling it in on yourself. Then there is the policy of 1st of September, 1965, entitled Ethics Protection, written by Hubbard, in which he says, when people do start reporting a staff member with a high statistic, what you investigate is the person who turned in the report. Inversion. In an ancient army, a particularly brave deed was recognized by an award of the title of Kakan. It was not a rank. The person remained what he was, but he was entitled to be forgiven the death penalty 10 times in case in the future he did anything wrong. That was a Kakan. That's what producing high statistic staff members are. Kakans. They can get away with murder without a blink from ethics, and ethics must recognize a Kakan when it sees one and tear up the bad report chits on the person with a yawn. Wonder if is that a policy? They should have, oh, Hubbard said that. Boy, that's crazy. This policy not only pertains to staff with high statistics, but public Scientologists. As long as they are big producers, bringing in lots of money. That includes children, just so we're clear on all that. Hubbard also said that he did not care what his staff members did, as long as they were upstats, helped making money. For Scientology, it implies that staff can get away with murder in a blink of the eye, and not to bother him with details. I personally think that's like a nod to Moloch, sacrifice. Examples of these policies are rampant, and I will only give you a few of them here. First is the story of the late Alexander Jentsch, the son of Scientology president Heber Jentsch, from the Scientology cult website. He was another sexually abused child. In Scientology Incorporated, the reputation of David Miscavige comes before all else. Who does that sound like, you guys? MR, which was also seen in the tragic loss of Lisa McPherson, who, while she lay dying, was driven to a hospital 45 minutes away, no doubt to put some distance between her and the Flagland base, where she had been neglected. while Morton Plant Hospital was only blocks away in the other direction. But of course, putting PR first is just another way of saying cover up. Yeah, go see Mike Rinder's statement on Lisa McPherson when he was still in Scientology. And on that theme, Alexander had already fallen into a well-worn groove. Behold, Alexander Jench was the victim of a child predator inside the Church of Scientology. Names, names, names. When he was 12 years old, the incident was covered up. The Church of Scientology executives. Were they prestigious executives? And neither the boy's father nor mother, yeah, sure. I don't know if I believe that, you guys. The boy's father and mother were ever told about it by the church. I don't know. Isn't your duty to be a parent to find out those things? You know what I mean? Like the fact they'd even put that in there. If you have a relationship with your child, you would know what happened. Yet you can bet David Miscavige. Oh, you guys, you know who this is sounding like. Knew all about it. He receives info on all potential legal liabilities. Not just Miscavige. They act like, a lot of people act like David Miscavige runs things all by himself. I mean, that's very sus to me. He receives info on all potential legal liabilities. Listen to this, you guys. Karen only found out on July 2010. That's your child and you're just finding out? When multiple former executives from the area where Alexander was working contacted Karen and told her what had happened to her son. Here's what they said. I'm just taking this with a grain of salt, to be honest. Witness number 1. I was a member of the Sea Organization from August 1989 till August 2007. It was when I worked in the Office of Special Affairs Flag Land Base. Flag Land Base. That I learned about the rape of Alexander Jench. Was he an auditor? Was he an auditor? Then a 12 or 13 years son of Karen de la Care and Heber Jench. I started working in OSA in January 1997. And it was during that year when I learned about the rape through my then co-worker Annie Mora, who had been assigned to keep an eye on Alexander from the point of time he was received at the Flag Land Base. This is corroborating all the stories we keep hearing about Harrison, or what is it? Yeah, Harrison Ford Hotel. It's given me Priscilla Presley vibes, if you guys know what I mean. The rape incident involved a female FSO. Anybody that was there then, do you guys know who this is? Oh, they give her name. I wonder if she was the one that they were calling like a sex, like pervert. I remember people talking about this young auditor. I don't know. I think this is the woman they were talking about. I don't know how old she was. They were like saying she's a sex addict, or I don't know. I just remember hearing something like that. I wonder if this is the same person. Seducing Alex to have sex with her. No, she was grooming him. She wasn't seducing. She was grooming him. He's 12 years old. Yeah, I think this is the woman that I remember hearing about. And then all these, like, ex-Scientologists were saying, oh, she was a sex addict or sex pervert. No, she's a pedophile. She wasn't a sex addict. She's a pedophile. Oh, boy. The fact that they would even say seducing. No, she was grooming Alex to have sex with her in one of the crew birthing apartments. He was 12, you guys. I really wish I knew how old she was. Maura, she was executing the immediate handling. Was she an auditor, you guys? Which included making sure the knowledge of the rape isn't spreading not only inside the church, but to the outside. It would have been devastating to the image of the church to have this crime become general knowledge. You mean child sexual battery? Rape? Another action was to transfer Alexander and Marie. Yeah, see how many times we hear about this. They do the same thing every time. Out of Florida to California to help cover it up from the authorities. Needless to say, Alexander's rape was a huge flap and would be the kind of incident OSA staff, OSA, didn't Mike Rinder work at OSA? Would automatically deal with, hence my knowledge of it. A Scientologist by the name of Donald Anthony Strawn, also known as Tony Strawn, was convicted in 1995 to 30 years in prison for sexually molesting two girls, LAPD, ages 11 and 13. The children were in his custodial care at the time. Oh, he was a guardian. You guys, how much have I talked about the illegalities of these guardianships? So the parents just handed these children over. Unreal. They should have gone to jail too. Scientology directed under threat of expulsion that the mother not report the incident to the proper authorities. Threats and intimidation right there. Because the church could handle his aberration. Really. Astor Woodcraft from ex-Scientology Kids said, I was 13 years old. I think I was 13. Everyone got beer and got drunk. Isn't that great when you make children adults in small bodies and they're drinking when they're 13? I think the first night or the second night I was up there, I was sitting next to him, and I had had a few beers, and so had he, and so had everyone else. And he put his hand down my shirt and down my bra and started feeling me. And it really scared me. And I asked my friend later, I said, what's Wally Hanks doing? Why did he do this? And she said, oh, don't worry. He just does that with the girls. That's just what he does, but don't worry about it. And along this line, Adeline Dodbova said, these were the children of dedicated Scientologists. Students, files revealed previous teacher statements of incidents of physical and sexual abuse. All of these cases were reported to the principal. The reports were handled by Scientology alone. Teachers dared not report these crimes or their own outside the school for fear of losing their jobs. Yolanda Hall wrote, "One little baby I knew in the Sea Org got herpes." One little baby I knew in the Sea Org got herpes. It's worse than I thought, you guys. During a cadet org epidemic. Wow, you guys. It's so bad. LAPD doesn't care about it. Clearwater PD don't care about it. A 14-year-old girl disclosed to me how she and a few other little girls were leaving the cadet org in the daytime and performing blank blank for one of the girl's uncles in exchange for money. That's not exploitation. Parents aren't around, guardians aren't around, just hand the kids over. A man who worked in the cadet org admitted he was sexually molesting the children. Although these incidents were written up, as far as I know, they were never handled. And finally, the statement of Tommy Gorman. It was around 2001, beginning in May, when I decided to go see my friend Jennifer Stewart, because she was still on staff at the Mountain View org. My mother asked, "Tommy, have you talked to your friend Jennifer lately?" I said no. I thought about it and thought, hey, I should call her. I called her home and her mother picked up the telephone, and I asked Jennifer if Jennifer was there. She said no. She is at Gabriel Williams' home. Jennifer's mother told me she would call Jennifer and tell her to call me. Later that day, I got a call from Jennifer. I was happy to be on the phone with my bud. I said, hey, can you come over tomorrow? And she said, I have to ask Gabriel, who was also her boss at Mountain View org. I said, no, you need to ask your mom and dad, not Gabriel. Jennifer said, no, I have to ask Gabriel. So I said, fine, ask him now. I heard Gabriel say, So I started to talk very loud and said, let Jennifer come over, Gabriel. Then Jennifer said, wow, Gabriel said I can come over. The next day, I picked up Jennifer at BART, Bay Area Rapid Transit. At 4 p.m., Jennifer looked a lot heavier and not the same happy girl I knew. She was wearing a turtleneck. The day was kind of warm and I was confused because Jennifer had told me many times before she does not wear turtlenecks because she hates them. You know what she had on her neck. I gave Jennifer a hug and she jumped back, and I felt confused. We then talked for hours in my car. I was joking with her about something and tapped her leg, and she again recoiled from a touch. At one point, I started to talk about Gabriel a lot, and then Jennifer threw up. I continued to discuss Gabriel because I knew something was very wrong. Whenever Gabriel's name came up, she would say everything was fine, everything was great, over and over again. I thought this was very weird. It was as if she were in a trance. I finally started yelling at her to tell me what was going on, and I asked her if anyone had hurt her. Then she started to cry very hard for a very long time, and kept talking, but I could not understand what she was saying. I asked her what had happened, but she said that she could not tell me. I asked if she was wearing her turtleneck because she was trying to hide something. I finally got her to let me look under the neck area of the turtleneck. Jennifer had some mark on her neck. When I looked at it closely later on, I saw that she had a right hand mark on her neck. When I was looking at her on my left side, she had a thumbprint on her neck on my right side and a couple of finger marks. I asked Jennifer if I could see her arm and then saw a mark on her arm. She told me she had also had a mark on her leg. Jennifer said, "No one will believe me." That's what they always want victims to think. "And Gabriel will kill me and my whole family." That was his threat that he made. Always the same with these scum. I spent the rest of that night trying to comfort Jennifer. I asked whether Gabriel did this. She said yes. She finally admitted that Gabriel had raped her. It was clear to me that Gabriel had threatened Jennifer's life and had raped her and choked her. Gabriel was a Scientology staff member at the Oregon Mountain View, and because of high production, as reflected by his statistics, meant that he made Scientology a lot of money. Because of this, he was considered by Scientology policy written by ldren Hubbard to be above the law. This policy is called the Condoned policy. I'm glad I know what the name of it is now. I knew the policy, and I knew that it would be a problem to report this to Scientology because they would protect him because of his worth to Scientology, and that is exactly what they did. ldren Hubbard's policy states that SPs, enemies of Scientology, always spread false and alarming rumors about upstats, high-income producers. Hubbard directs staff to investigate any individual who reports or tells on an upstat. More snitching. There is no room in our society for a church to have a policy that it's okay for you to do anything you want to people, especially women and children, as long as your stats are up and it doesn't get around. Scientology still practices this. Please see the video below. Jan Eastgate copyrighted that video. So I will leave a link in the description box. Like and subscribe if you choose. Otherwise, have an amazing day or night wherever you are. Peace.